So I'm talking to you from my kitchen here in Northamptonshire, and I've been asked to say a few words about my song. All my songs are love songs, to sort of put it in sort of historical and personal context.
This isn't a love token, heartbroken boy. Best leave those words unspoken, heartbroken boy.
So I'm happy and proud to say that my song, All My Songs Are Love Songs, has been released as a single more than 40 years after I first composed it. But it's also the opening track on my forthcoming album, Nothing Can Protect You from a Song. And that album title gives more of a clue as to what All My Love Songs Are Love Songs is really about. You see, it's really a song about unrequited love, almost the impossibility of love. Listen, babe, it's quite okay. You've heard the things I've tried to say, and if you decide to go away, the words just echo. They never reach the ears for which they are intended. I wrote the song in my late 20s or early 30s, which is why, with the images associated with the song and in the forthcoming video, which should be available in about 2 weeks, I've included lots of photographs of me when I was younger. It's not easy to remember when a melody first pops into your head, especially that long ago. But anyway, it was at the time when my first serious relationship was breaking down. And I thought I was inventing the song for my then boyfriend. Later, I realized that I was actually speaking to myself, and that's another reason why the video will include a lot of images of the younger me. Much more recently, just in the last couple of years, I thought of dedicating it to a pen pal who I was talking to online, who I felt something for, and I wrote the new intro for him. But when he heard it, he blocked me online. It's just something he does. I think he'll be back in touch at some point. So, going back, the song was composed just about the time when the AIDS epidemic was just starting, around the time that Mrs. Thatcher described gay relations something like this. People will still meet. We can't prevent that. At around that time, I made a Trailways bus tour of the US. The all-embracing but ever so tempting promiscuity of the gay lifestyle, and the leather scene in particular, made a lasting impression on me, which is reflected in this song. There is fear and the feeling of painful isolation at the heart of all my songs are love songs, most especially in the lines. They will eat you with their acid. They will burn you with their fire. Was I thinking of LSD when I wrote about acid? Not sure. Maybe that was subliminal, and maybe that association just occurs to me now, not before. But anyway, going back to the late 70s, I've been thinking about the cultural points of reference that conditioned the writing of those lines. The gloomy gay cult movie Fortune and Men's Eyes, with its theme song based on Shakespeare's sonnet, appeared in 1971 when I was about 18. When in disgrace with fortune and men's eyes, I turn to thee. In 1976, The Ritz, starring Treat Williams, made gay saunas look about as risky as the train in Billy Wilder's Some Like It Hot. Most of us will remember that extraordinary moment in the Ritz when Rita Moreno asked us to imagine a bitch. Of course, she was trying to say beach, but pronounced it bitch. Anyway, that delightful innocence started to choke just a few years later as the stories of the gay plague started to spread both through the saunas and in the public media, public consciousness. And then in 1980, Just as the first cases of Kaposi sarcoma were appearing in young gay men, William Friedkin and Al Pacino brought the US gay club scene to the mainstream with the classic movie Cruising. And all of this fed into my understanding of the trip I had made to the States while my relationship back home was falling apart. Lay your worries on me, child. Lay your worries on me. Heaven knows when the wind blows, you'll go free. Ba 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 ba. Ba 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 ba. And that trip included a visit to the mine shaft on Little Wealth 12th Street, where I had a drink thrown over me because I wasn't either dressed in leather or not dressed at all. Perhaps even more important than those movies were the songs I drew on to encapsulate my emotions in the lyrics for all my songs are love songs. One of the songs comes from a famous film, of course, The Rose. In 1979, Bette Midler sang this. Love, some say love, it is a razor that leaves your soul to bleed. And then in 1981, Don McLean released his version of Love Hurts. McLean is a great songwriter, of course, but he's also a superb vocalist who conveys emotion in every syllable. There are many great versions of Love Hurts, Roy Orbison, Capaldi, but I was a big fan of Don McLean at the time, and I think it was his recording which lodged with me and fed into the lyrics of all my songs are love songs. Love hurts, love scars, love wounds and mars. So where am I now with all this, as my song appears more than 40 years after I first thought of it? Does love still burn when it's hot? Maybe not so much. The dissociative behaviours which characterised the lifestyle of gay men in my youth haven't gone away, but they are now modified and challenged by the feeling and expression of affection and intimacy, feelings which society in general have been forced to recognise and accept. AIDS, as tragic as it has been and still is, as much as it stimulated homophobia in its early stages, has been responsible for those changes. The epidemic broke the cycle by which repressive forces pushed gay love underground, encouraging the casual encounters which then enabled the same repressive forces to condemn homosexuality as sordid. In The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo, which I had the pleasure of reading on my recent holiday in Jamaica, Taylor Jenkins Reid shows how intimacy trumps sex every time. We must never be pushed back into a world where it doesn't.